Hello, I am Robin Newton, and we are back with a new episode of PR Style Guide. We are thrilled that we finally launched this and got this off the ground running. Danielle and I have been working on this for months. So we are super, super excited, and even more excited that we've got Tiffany Young joining us today. Tiffany has more than 15 years of experience working in the communications industry. She is a communications specialist managing internal communications for a federal agency, but she also is a communications and events manager for the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. And she's done many other communications and PR related work throughout the DMV. And we are so excited that she's joining us. Tiffany, welcome.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Danielle, for the invitation. I'm thoroughly excited to talk about everything PR.
Yeah.
All right, Danielle.
Yes. Thank you again, Tiffany. So we all have a mutual connection. We are connected through the church that we go to, which is Zion Church, and we have some pretty funny stories. So as Robin and I had been talking, and we were talking about the podcast, and I was like, yeah, Tiffany Young, who goes to Zion, and you want to jump in, Robin?
Sure. Sure. So Danielle, she was like, yeah, Tiffany Young, she goes to Zion. I think she'd be great for us to work with. She works in the PR space. And I was like, okay, great. That's awesome. And so we wrote your name down on the list of people that we want to connect with. And then she came back maybe a week or two later and she was like, so I talked to Tiffany and she said she knows you. And so then I was like, oh, that Tiffany. I do know Tiffany.
She was like, yeah, I don't know Tiffany. And I was like, but y'all, I know y'all in the singles ministry. Y'all just know we're around the same people.
Yes. Then once I saw your picture and everything, I was like, oh, I do know Tiffany. But we run across, for those that don't know, Zion is big. So we run across a lot of different people. But yes, Tiffany and we always talk about hair, and she always has the most gorgeous braids.
Thank you.
All right. So, again, we're excited to dive in today. So let's jump into our first question. So, Tiffany, when did you first fall in love with PR?
I first fell in love with PR, and I was thinking about this question. I don't really know, but I do know the moment I realized the space, the industry I want to be in. And so was already working in communications and PR for a think tank at the time. And I got the opportunity to volunteer doing BET honors. Black Entertainment Television used to do their BET honors, their honorable awards event and gala at Warner Theater. It was at Warner Theater every year. And I got to volunteer to do the red carpet, publicity red carpet. My job was to get the celebrities on the carpet and to announce to the media who the person that was coming up on the carpet. I have never worked in that space before, like never entertainment or publicity or anything event that size before. And I remember feeling like I did it with such ease, but I also enjoyed myself. I also felt like I know who these people are, like, oh, I know who that person is. And sometimes they weren't big celebrities. They were accomplished authors or local celebrities. That was the moment where I was like, I really like this space when the local celebrities would come. And I'm like, I know who you are. Let me get you on the carpet. So they and I remember one celebrity was like, no, it's okay. I was like, no, you are a DC celebrity. You need to be on this red carpet. So the first time I really fell in love with PR was probably that event, working in that space. I did not go into PR entertainment, but I did realize that this is the career that I want to stay in.
That's awesome. I love that show as well. I
Yeah.
will watch it faithfully.
Or it's in LA. It's been some years since they would do it every Martin Luther King holiday weekend.
Hmm.
Have a big party afterwards. It would be a lot of fun, but I was like, this is it. Like this is where I thrive. Like this is where I
Hmm.
so yeah.
How'd you get that gig? I mean, that's such a cool gig.
Um,
Yeah.
at the time, a friend of mine was working in the traffic department.
Hmm.
This traffic. So broadcast has a pretty much the flow of advertisements that come on TV. They call that the traffic department. And she was working there. And I guess they sent out an email if anyone that worked at BT would like to volunteer for BT Honors. And she was like, do you want to do it with me? I was like, absolutely. Like, yes. And so she's like, I don't know what we're going to be asked to do, but I'm going to sign us up or see if we could work with the PR publicity department. She was transitioning out of advertising and wanting to move into the PR space. So it was a perfect opportunity for her to get to know the PR department for BT. It was a perfect opportunity for me to even just see how PR and entertainment works. I realized that particular part of the industry I do not want to do. It was very intense, but it did make me realize that I had studied the art of PR, not just through college, even though my background is print media, but I did go into do some classes at a graduate level and get a certification in public relations. And a lot of times the skill is just being quick on your feet or thinking about something before it even happens and really being a problem solver. So that event showed me like this is an industry I want to be in. So thankful to my friend at the time, Candace, who gave me the opportunity. And even she was able to transition out of traffic. She moved to New York and did PR for BET. Every year when they would do the honors, she would like, you know what time it is? I said, I'm there. What do I got to do? Do I got to bring somebody lunch? I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to do that. So I really enjoyed those opportunities.
Wow.
So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. So you mentioned your college. I know you went to VSU and
Yes.
you rep VSU. So you said, give us a little bit of your background. So you studied, what did you study?
Journalism. So I went to Virginia State University. I majored in mass communications with a concentration in media. But when I first got to college, they didn't have the degree. I had to major in English. And so it was probably my second semester of sophomore year where they introduced the program. And I join. But I will say that I knew that going to Virginia State, they didn't have communications. In admissions department said that they will be bringing it eventually, and I kept thinking, well, hopefully they bring it before I graduate because this is a school I want to go to. And so they made doing the promise. They brought the program because it was new. I want to say my class was the second class to graduate with actually a mass communications official degree. It was a lot of lessons learned, a lot of things we had to do and kind of get on our own. Like all of my internships I found on my own. We would go in the hallway and see post-its, you know, the couple, the actors, Tim Reed and Daphne Reed, they had a production company or building in Petersburg, Virginia, and they would look at interns all the time. And I was like, broadcast TV is not what I want to do. I want to do print media. I want to be a journalist. And so I would talk to my advisors, like, well, where are the internships? Like, what? I don't understand. So I had to really work on like find those opportunities on my own. But I did that by just at the time I think Yahoo Messenger was really popular, and I would message. I was in a communications like young journalist type group who were in towns that the internships are flooding. I was like, if you know of any internship in the Maryland, Virginia, please send it my way. So I learned networking probably like a junior in college just by telling people what I was looking for. Um, so that experience was great. I would do it all over again. I think even though it wasn't given to me, it made me work hard to find those opportunities. And then after college, my first job was at a local newspaper in Prince George's County, Maryland, called the Gazette newspaper. It was a subsection newspaper from the Washington Post. and they only covered Prince George's County news. And my beat was from Andrews Air Force Base all the way to a town past Brandywine called Aquatic, Maryland. You may have never heard of it. It was just nothing but farm out there. So that was my beat. I spent a lot of time on 210 for Washington, spent a lot of time in Clinton. Spent a lot of time on Andrews Air Force Base. So that was a really good beat. So I covered everything from local news, a little bit of crime, a little bit of development. Those were actually the stories I really liked covering, new development that was coming into the county. And then I decided before the big buyout. So this now we're talking about the year 2006. And about 2008, there was a big buyout where really people weren't reading newspapers anymore. So newspapers were laying people off because now they were moving into the digital space. And so I left before that happened. So I transitioned into PR kind of early. Again, just connecting and talking with people. Someone I knew was leaving a job and they said, I want a person of color to get this job. I think you will be great. And I wasn't thinking about leaving journalism full time. I just wanted to make some more money. And I said, well, I can write part-time or I could do it freelance. I don't have to do full-time. So that's exactly what I did. I transitioned to communications PR for a think tank in DC. And then I was still freelancing for the Gazette newspaper. Then I started freelancing for the NAAA newspaper, which was the Crisis magazine. I started going to conferences. I started getting involved in Urban League and just writing all the continue to write. And then I kind of stopped freelancing because it was just overwhelming. And I wanted to dive more into my new career of communications and PR. Not just write press releases, but really understand the art and the science behind being a good public relations professional. So I did that full time. Then I went over to a art college called the Art Institute of Washington, and I was their public relations coordinator. I did all their internal communications, and we did a lot of events. And I had to pretty much tell the story of the college, why the newspaper or TV should cover our event or write about our students or know about the programs we're offering. And then I left that job and went to another university. It was a virtual 100% online university called American Public University System. It's really popular amongst the military because it's online. They can take classes. We had students in Afghanistan taking classes long as they had internet. And I was doing PR. My role was to work with the military outlets and cover a lot of the military science news, transportation logistic news. That's what actually funny story. So I'm working at this particular college and a board member I got to know and work with really well. Every graduation, we kind of did some activation events. And we will kind of like feature him as like you're going to be our spokesperson. So that person is actually the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore. So I've known Wes Moore for a long time. And so every time I see him, like now I don't have to say it, but I'll go, we worked together. You were on the board. Remember? Oh my God. Yes, I do remember that. So I think it's funny that I actually used to work with him many years ago. And now he's the governor of Maryland.
That's awesome.
And then I left that job and got an opportunity at the job I'm at now doing internal communications for a government agency, which I never thought in a million years I'll be. I have learned a lot. I would say the government space is it's stable work. You can take your time. It's not fast paced. You can learn a lot. If you want to be in that space, I would encourage anyone to try different government agencies to find the one that works best for you, your personality, and what you're interested in. But I remember in college, my friends were graduating like, oh, I can't wait to graduate and get a good government job. And I used to be like,
government.
Right.
I'm gonna get a good government job. And I was like, I'm gonna go work at a newspaper. And I had lived in Alexandria for 17 years. And I was like, I need to get back into Maryland. Like, who are the movers and shakers? Who the elected officials now? And I was able to learn that through my writing with Prince George's Sweet magazine. And through that, I got to meet people and network. And I actually met the president of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce at an event. And he kind of said, "Oh, I need communications help." And I was like, "Oh, well, you need to do this, this, and this." He was like, "Oh, well, let's have a meeting." I said, "Okay, you need to do this, this, and this." And he was like, "Well, can you do this, this, and this?" And I was like, "I sure can." And so I've been there for 6 months.
I'd love to talk about something you mentioned in regards to your current job. So I too was that girl who did not want to work coming out of school for the government. I was like, oh no, I'm going to be on air. That was my thing. I wanted to initially go on air, be on air, and then eventually I thought, oh no, I don't want to work nights and weekends and holidays. I'd rather work behind the scenes, but still for a news organization. And so that's when I made that transition. But I always thought, even then,
Mhm.
when I get to a certain age, I'm going to get a government job and I am going to be a beast at my government job because I will have worked in all these amazing avenues in PR and the comm space. And I'm going to own that government job and it's going to be good money and good benefits. And I'm not going to be working crazy hours.
Right.
But I still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I going to be bored?
Boredom does
Oh,
in. It also allows you flexibility if you're the person who wants to start a family and ready to start your family and do other things and travel. It does offer you the flexibility to have a life outside of work. I would say that. But that's not the lane I chose. I like being busy. I told someone the other day, they said, "Oh, you're always working." And I was like, "Yeah, it's because I have nothing else to do." But I say it jokingly, but I kind of mean that. Like, I thrive best when my brain is constantly being creative and just moving. If I don't have anything to do, something's gonna fall by the wayside. But I have this sense of urgency to make sure I get everything done and I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be. If I committed to something, I'm gonna do it. And not only I don't know, I just do well when I'm busy. And so I might find boredom in my 9 to 5, but I'm never bored in any of the other projects or opportunities I get to do, whether it's working or helping at Zion or doing Prince George's Chamber work or going back to freelancing. Like, that stuff never gets boring to me. So
mhm. That's a good point. It gives you the flexibility to do all those creative things that you enjoy.
Tiffany, so what is one fashion staple for
mm,
you being a woman in this industry? What would you say?
a fashion staple.
Yeah, just like for you and your style.
It's in a lot of pictures. I wear it a lot. I just throw it on. It's black. It fits really nicely. I think that's why I wear it a lot. It fits, but it doesn't do too much, but it does just enough. It has like the gold pockets. I mean, sorry, the gold buttons. Has great pockets, but everyone recognizes as being Ralph Lauren. But like I told you guys earlier, I got it from a thrift store. So Ralph Lauren could be costly to someone, and someone like, "Oh, that's a nice jacket. How much you spent on it?" I'm like, "I got it from a thrift store." But I think the jacket says a lot about me, where I'm I'm really not that girl, but I can be in the spaces of that girl kind of thing. Like, I don't spend a lot of money on the external things that I wear or do, but I still like to be in the spaces of, luxury. So I'm the one that walk all the way in the store, talk to the people, touch the bags, put it on. I want you to sell this bag to me. You know what? I may not get that bag, but I walk in that store and I want all the perks, all the, whatever you do, champagne, water.
Yes.
Because when I'm ready to buy it, I know where I'm going to go. I know the store that treated me well. I know the style. I guess I'm still kind of learning my style a little bit, but I would say I'm always going to throw on like a jacket. A blazer is my thing.
Love that. And all
And
of us love a good thrift store too. Also, I love a good thrift store.
Yes.
yeah, and it has a story. It's so PR of you to have a personal piece that you love that has a story with it. It's not just a cute blazer, which Danielle and I peeped from the moment that Tiffany hopped on before we even pressed record on this episode. We were eyeballing and complimenting her on that blazer. And then it just made us like it even more when she was like, it's a thrift store find.
Right. All right. So, is there a PR myth that you'd like to publicly debunk?
Ooh, I don't know if it's one that is like a public thing, like people are talking about. I would say a lot of times when you bring up the word PR, there's this myth that maybe the person is perfect, that we live in a very perfect world. That we wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we have breakfast and we just are perfect and we go work out and we're taking calls while we're on the treadmill and maybe. And I'm like, that is nothing. Some aspects of it where I'm waking up and I'm constantly thinking about what's my next move. But I think there's a myth that we're perfect and we're going to always figure it out. And we always have the answers. I'll be honest, I don't always know the answers. So I always tell people, what do you know? If you do it better than I do, if you can do it in 5 minutes and I do it in 30 minutes, you're probably the better person to do it. So yeah, maybe there's a myth that we know all the answers, that we're these perfect people, and that we could solve every problem. There was a really cute movie on Amazon during COVID. It was called The Hack. The young lady, she was in PR and she just seemed to live this perfect life, but she had a crazy life outside of work. Very bad life, actually. And I just think sometimes there's a myth that, we put on this public face that we're perfect and that everything about our lives are perfect. But a lot of times people work a lot of long hours in our industry. And so they don't get the opportunity to expand their home and have children and have a healthy, happy relationship. And so a lot of times it can impact your mental health and your physical health. You might look like you're in shape, but you're not living a healthy lifestyle. You're not finding time to eat healthy food and drink your water. So it can be impactful in a negative way. I would say that is the myth, that we are not perfect. We do not know all the answers and our life is not perfect.
Do you have a professional mentor? And if so, how did you choose them?
I put that on my vision board this year to get a mentor. I've always had some type of mentor, but and even in the world of PR, whether they was African American, male, female, I've had someone that I could like reach out to, look up to. But the last few years, I didn't have one, and I was trying to figure out, maybe I'm not in the right space to find one. And so I put that on my vision board, like I want a mentor. And it doesn't have to be someone who's doing a job that I want to do, but just someone I look up to who has great work ethics, people praise, who they just seem to have really great integrity and people just love. And I said, well, one day I'm gonna find that person. Well, again, through the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, was able to connect with someone organically, and it just hit me like, that is your mentor. And she recently told me, I ran into her and she said, if you need anything, you let me know. And I was like, I need a mentor. Mentor me. She gave me her cell number. She said, call me for anything. And I'm like, what would I call her for? I don't even know. But it's funny you said professional mentor, because I'm like, just because she's not working in PR doesn't mean she can't give you advice on things like how to work with difficult people, when to balance it all. She has a family. Is very successful. Maybe I just want to have a conversation with her like, hey, how do you do it all? What are some other spaces I need to be in? What are some boards? I used to be on a lot of boards at one time, but I just haven't pursued that opportunity. Maybe she knows of some new opportunities for me. So I'm so happy I have organically found a mentor. Yes.
That is
That's
amazing.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
Like
you.
finding a mentor is so vital. And it seems like an easy thing, but it's not always that easy. Like
Right.
it's almost like finding a therapist. Like you might find a therapist that has amazing credentials and then you meet with them and you're like, I don't vibe. We
Right.
not vibing.
Right. You're I don't know. I didn't feel welcome when I came into your space.
Yeah.
My aura and
Yeah.
your aura were off.
Right. So, how do you consume news, Tiffany?
Instagram and CNN. And the work I do, I have to know a lot of local news. So online, I go to like Washington Informer, Biz Now. I read a lot of chamber newsletters, a lot of government official websites. It's funny. I'm like, this is kind of boring, but it's stuff I need to know. But first and foremost is social media. If I want it quick, I want the quick headline. That could just be any topic. But if I want to zone in on a particular industry news, I do subscribe to like our top. So I get the Washington Business Journal sent to my house. The physical, even though I can go online, is nothing like opening up the newspaper and reading it. And actually, I'll cut out the article and highlight it and I'll put it somewhere or I'll give it to our president like, oh, you should read this later. He's like, you still cutting out newspaper articles? I was like, yeah, I'm old school. So those are my top ones, but my number one preferred, I guess, go to is probably social media.
Okay. Love that.
Any PR or communications, marketing books or resources that you would recommend to a
I,
newbie?
I have one right here. It's actually an old textbook. So I'll give you topics that if you want to find articles, anything that has to do with strategy, anything that has to do with management. I think those topics are really good resources for any public relations professional or communications professional to really zone in. Um, every now and then, the AP style book will update some words. Always have a copy of AP style. Um, I'm not ashamed to say it, but I have been drinking the chat chat GP. I don't even know how to
Oh
say
yeah,
it.
Chat
Hey,
GPT.
I've been
Is it
Listen,
GPT or GTP? GPT, right?
whatever it is, it's on my phone. I pay a fee. And because sometimes I'm just stuck in a word and I'm like, how do I want to say this? It is a great tool to kind of just move your mind. Like you might be stuck in an idea. It's a great tool for that. I wouldn't say use every word, try to rewrite it, but it does help you, oh yes, that's what I was trying to say. And it just kind of helps you with your flow of work. Um,
How much is that subscription, if you don't mind
it's
me
not
asking?
really expensive. I want to say it was under $10. It
For
wasn't
like the
expensive.
month? It's a
Yeah, like
monthly?
after you
Oh,
pass the free
nice.
trial, I mean, it's worth it. It really is. It just helps you just move things along. Like I'm not stuck
Yeah.
all day on something. But yeah, I maybe later I text you the books that I use, but they're old textbooks actually. But again, the topics that you should look out for is anything that has to do with strategy or management. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna move into our lightning round. Danielle, that sound good to you?
yes.
Okay, awesome. So in this round, we give you a this or that, and you let us know which one is your jam.
Okay.
So coffee or tea,
Coffee.
Mac or PC,
PC.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Spring or fall?
Fall.
beach or mountains,
Beach.
black suits or blue suits.
Blue.
Okay. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
Okay. I know I heard you mention Instagram earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last one?
I said Twitter or TikTok.
Neither. Oh my God. So I don't have Twitter. I don't have TikTok. I would say if I had to, TikTok, because again, I'm doing research. It's something that I will be using at some point in my job. I don't use Twitter anymore. I used it at one point. What is it called? X now, formerly known as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I am aware of the power of TikTok. That Twitter just wasn't able to do. I don't know. They say that it's a good platform for short videos, and the more videos you share, I mean, you don't have to like have this whole list of friends. It's people that's just finding your content and they're just looking at it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't have to build up this list of followers. It will just happen organically. So in this case, I would say TikTok.
Okay.
Samantha Jones or Olivia Pope?
Oh. Hmm.
I know it's a tough one. We struggle with that one too.
Right.
I would say Samantha Jones. Do I have to give a reason?
We'd love to hear the reason.
Okay. I mean, I didn't go with the obvious because Olivia Pope is African American, although she rocked in real life.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. She was based off a real person.
Yep.
The show Scandal was based off a real life PR person. I would say Samantha because I thought she was super funny. She was very aggressive and unapologetic about things she said. I like that about her. I also got to see her in a space of friendship. If you think about like Scandal, I can't think of who Olivia Pope friends were. I like that Samantha had a circle of girlfriends. I think that's really important to me, my friendships. And sometimes her friends helped her in her job, like just who they knew, or they would go to events with her. I think I like to see her in that space of really being a good girlfriend.
I love that explanation. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Washington Post or New York Times?
Washington Post.
Extrovert or introvert?
Introvert, because people assume I'm an extrovert because of the work I do, but I really like to be home. If I don't have to talk, I love it. I like to be behind the scenes. As I get older, I have more introvert personality traits. I say I was an extrovert by the job I was doing. I had to be. But I would say I enjoy being in my introverted space.
Okay. Heels, flats, or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes. I've been all like the last 2 weeks, I've been wearing like suits with like sneakers.
Love
Yes.
it.
So
Okay.
that's my new jam.
Well, Tiffany,
Love that.
we wrap up. Thank you for joining us. We do want to end and just ask if you have what's your best tip or advice that you have been given that you want to share with our audience?
Sure. My background is not, and I'm only 41. Who knows? I might go do PR for the New York Times. Who knows, right? But I would say that the tip is never lose sight of like what the big vision is, what you want to do. Whether you go and work for a big company or a small company, always try to be the best and do it really, really well. You're not going to always be perfect, but you always want to leave a lasting impression on someone, that they enjoyed working with you, that you showed up on time, that you were committed, that you worked hard. Those are skills that you can take in any job. And so while my background is public relations, communications, and I'm always, when you ask me to be on this, I'm like, I don't work for no big company. But I realize now, talking to you, think about the questions, I have kind of really touched every aspect of PR. And so my other tip is to make sure whatever job you're in, that you can learn all kinds of skills so that you could be well-rounded, so you can go work in any capacity. So yeah, that would be my tip.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was great, really great conversation. I learned a lot about you, Tiffany.
Thank
And
you,
like we
Robin.
said, we've known you for years. I've known you for years now, and I did not know half of this. So thanks.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining us.